Thank you very much, Mr. President, for joining us this evening. Turns out to be a good time to speak with you. On Monday, you celebrate the first anniversary of your inauguration as President of Indonesia. And on Friday, this Friday, you celebrate a birthday. And since I am older than you, I can mention that because you look to me. But your background is quite amazing. First of all, your education, for a variety of reasons, you ended up in a variety of schools, what we call school and junior high school, various countries in Switzerland, but unique background in terms of your young education.
Yes, well, I think I followed my father, of course, my family. At that time, basically, my father was in exile, actually. So he was an opponent of President Sukarno, and so when President Sukarno was in power, my father, for political reasons, and then he left the country and we followed. And so wherever my father had to go, we went, and then that's why basically every 2 years we moved to a new country. Finally, ending up in the United Kingdom in 1968. I returned back to Indonesia. At that time, of course, there was a political change. President Sukarno was replaced by President Suharto. My father was called back by President Suharto to serve in President Suharto's government, and I returned back to Indonesia in 1968.
You also, by the way, the President has a sense of humor. Tell us about how you went to Harvard.
No. I know that the Anglo-Saxon community, they're very impressed by Oxford, Cambridge, for those, the British, etc., Commonwealth people. Very impressed hearing the words Oxford and Cambridge. And for the American-oriented people, very impressed by Harvard, MIT, Princeton, Cornell. So I understood that. So one day I was in a reception. It was the Queen's birthday, I think. Queen's birthday in Jakarta, and I was there with my deputies. I was chairman of the party, he was the deputy chairman. He graduated from the London School of Economics. So in the reception, all the young British diplomats surrounded him and didn't address me at all, right? So, why? Because I keep hearing, oh, Excellency, you graduated from LSE, London, and so my deputy was saying, yes. And so then I, wanting some attention, I broke in. I said, actually, I went to Oxford, and they all changed their attention to me. They surrounded me, and, oh, you went to, which college did you go to? No, actually I went to the bookstore in Oxford. But no, this works every time. It works every time. Just now, a few minutes ago, I think there was Ted Oisius, yeah? Ted was there with William, right? And apparently both of them were graduates of Harvard, right? So they were very proud of it, you know. So they mentioned it, yeah, we are Harvard graduates, same class, 1984, right? He said. So, you know, I didn't want to lose out, so I said, no, I also went to Harvard. So Ted comes, wait, which college did you go to? I said, no, I went to the bookstore in Harvard. I got him, you know, so it works every time.
Well, you come from a very distinguished family. Your grandfather was a founder of a very notable bank, and your father was a brilliant economist who served Chicago hard, but also was not afraid to try to make a change when he thought one was needed. So, your father helped shape your philosophy. So, given your family background, how did they shape your economic thinking?
I think you are correct, because you know my grandfather lived in the times of in the colony of Holland, of Netherlands. My father went to school in Netherlands and graduated there in economics, and so this was the 40s, right? And then, of course, we were in the middle of this great, let us say, upheaval, fighting for our independence. So my father came back. And at that time, to be very frank, most of the leaders of Asia, Africa, the leaders, the elite, were basically socialists. Because at that time, socialism, in fact, even Marxism, communism, they were the movement that really advocated for freedom against the colonialists and the imperialists. I think that's why a lot of Asian, African leaders, movements of the young were practically left-wing, socialist. Many were communists, and my father was also a socialist in his young days. In fact, he was a leader of the Socialist Party of Indonesia. But then, I think what influenced him a lot was when he was by our leaders to New York, to the United Nations, to represent Indonesia, lobby for Indonesia. And he was there, and there he made friendship with a lot of American leaders who basically were business leaders, who were capitalists. But many American capitalists in those days and leaders were also anti-imperialist and anti-colonialism. They were against all this colonial and imperialist movement, and America at that time was in the forefront of actually basically forcing the European colonial powers to decolonize. So I think that's my father got, and he was helped a lot by many American business leaders. He always talked of this Matthew Fox, I think. Matthew B. Fox. It was at that time, I think, the founder of 20th Century Fox, I think, who became a good friend of my father and always helped the Indonesian independence movement. So it's very interesting. So when he came back from the US, in the early days of our independence, he became quite, I would say, even balanced. Of course, the thinking was always socialistic, but he understood that actually capitalism, free enterprise, really had something that's very important. And that was his thinking. In the end, of course, I was a young boy. I said, so, Father, what is the best economic system according to you, Father? And he said, actually, the best economic system for us, for Indonesia, must be a mixed economic system. It must be, we must take the best of capitalism and the best of socialism. And I think this is now, I think it's growing to be the mainstream thinking. For instance, this is the same thinking, I think, as the third way of Tony Blair, the middle way. So I don't think in the 21st century world, we can opt for one set of thinking, one set of philosophy that works for everybody. It must be, I think we need to find each country the system that works for our country. That's my opinion.